Alright, so what I'm going to be doing in this video, I'm going to be making some sausage, and I'm going to do two different types. 5 pounds is going to be a beef and pork jalapeno cheddar, and the other one is just going to be Italian sausage. And these will be linked. So what I'll do, I've already got some, did a video the other day, I've already cut up that whole pork shoulder I did in a previous video. That's the picnic roast side of that. Okay, that was about 7 pounds, so I wanted some more, so I just grabbed an additional picnic roast. This is about, I think this is about 3 pounds. And since this don't have quite as much fat as the pork butt, I've got some pork belly on hand that I use for additional fat if needed. And I've got some beef already chopped up. It's in the freezer now, so what I'll do, I'll cut this up and I'll go ahead and get my seasonings mixed, put that in, and I will grind the meat with the seasonings already in there. So we'll go ahead and get this cut up. Now I put this in the freezer just to get it cold. You want it really cold, almost solid when you're grinding, but it's also easier to cut meat whenever you have it cold like that. I mean, it's still got give to it. It's, you know, it's not frozen solid or anything. You just want it to be firm. And this Dallas Strong knife, razor sharp, slices this stuff extremely well here. I love these knives. I've bought several of them. Highly recommend it if you want to. They're expensive, but if you want a really, really good quality knife to use in the kitchen, then I would recommend it. If you're not familiar with sausage making, the size that you want to cut your meat up depends on your grinder. If you're going to do more than just a few pounds of sausage on occasion, I would recommend getting a dedicated grinder. And just a quick look, you can see that's the beef. Alright, so I got these two bags here. One's the pork, the other one's the beef. Let's see what we got here. We got 10 pounds, 12 ounces, so this a little over 10.5 pounds of pork. The beef, 10 or 5.9 ounces, so about 5.5 pounds. So what I'll do here is I got the 5.5 pound beef right here. I'll just start taking some of this pork and putting it over into that. I just want to kind of even the bags out a little bit. I don't mind that this one has a heavier beef content than pork. Add some over here to that. So there's just around 8, maybe slightly under 8 pounds. There we go. So almost 8 pounds there. And then the pork, 8 pounds, 7 ounces. So that's gonna be my 2 sausages there. Now what I use, these are natural hog casings here. You can get a few different brands of them. That's the one I'm using now. I got some of these from the sausage maker. You can also get sheep's casings. They're smaller diameter. I think you can get beef casings and stuff. These things come dry, packed in salt. And you smell that bag, they smell pretty ripe. But you see here, they're just, they come like this right here. Fairly dry, like I said, packed in salt. Keep them in the refrigerator and they last forever as long as you keep them packed in salt. Now some I've already had, they're in here. They're in a little bit of water, but this extremely salty water that's left over from last time I stuffed some sausages. I was going to add some to it. So you want to rinse these in water for a little while. Make sure you get all that salt off of them and get the salt out of them as well. You can see here, I've rinsed these over in the sink. I usually run some water through it initially, and then I'll kind of fill it back up, slosh it through like this a few times. This helps get any residual salt out. And then before you use them, you let them set in water for 30-40 minutes. It just makes them pliable. And these are pretty durable. They can go through quite a bit, but when you're stuffing them, you can rupture these. So I try to make sure they're lubricated so I don't rip a hole or anything in it while I'm trying to put it on the horn. What we'll do next, take these seasonings here, put it in. I like to mix my seasonings in after the meat's cubed, and then I'll put it in the freezer. That way when I run it through the grinder, it mixes the seasonings a lot better than just sitting here working it by hand. So I've got kosher salt, Italian seasonings, crushed red pepper, black pepper, dried parsley, garlic powder, use minced onion in mine, and for the authentic Italian seasoning or taste, fennel seeds. Now, if you don't grind them, they look like this, but I partially grind mine so I get a few whole ones in there, but the rest of it's ground. That's what gives it the traditional taste. And on your seasonings, pretty much there's like no set amounts. It's whatever you like based on your taste. The only thing I would weigh out and be exact is the salt. And what I did here is I weighed the meat, converted to grams, and then I don't like real salty, so I use 1.5% salt. And I think for this batch, it was like 53 grams of salt. It sounds like a lot, but there's like 8 pounds of meat here. You can put a curing salt in there if you're gonna do like a cold smoke or dry aging your sausages. I'm not doing any of that. These are all gonna be fresh. The ones I don't cook, in the next day or two, I'm gonna vacuum seal and freeze them. I'll mix these in and put it in the freezer to let it get almost frozen, not all the way, just where it's firm. And then I'll grind it. And when you're mixing at this stage, you don't have to worry about getting it 100% perfect coverage or anything, because I'm just putting it to distribute it throughout the meat cubes. And then, like I said, when I run this through the grinder, that's what's going to give you the really good mix. And then once it's actually ground, then I'll add in a binder, mix it again before stuffing it into the casings. But you don't want to put that binder in now. Run it through the grinder, make this stuff. It'll turn it into a mess, muck up your grinder. And we'll do the same thing here for this is the beef pork mixture. That will be for the jalapeno cheddar. Salt. And again, the salt I weigh, and I put that in by percentage based on the weight of the meat. So that was 48 grams of salt. And then everything else is just everything else is just a taste. I got some ground mustard there, crushed red pepper, a little Hungarian paprika. Actually, that was the cayenne pepper. Here's the Hungarian paprika. Garlic powder, black pepper. I like a lot of it, so. Small amount of coriander, and some minced onion. And then just like before, mix all this by hand, just enough to get it on all the cubes, and rebag it and into the freezer to get it to solidify before grinding it. And the jalapenos that will go in this, I'll grind them with the meat. I use some high temp cheddar cheese for this, and that'll go in after it's ground. And we're gonna grind up some of this meat here. You can see it's a good coarse grind. This is what I like. I don't like it emulsified or like a hot dog. All right, what I did, I got in kind of a hurry. And since I'm doing 2 batches of sausage at the same time, I ground my beef and pork without the jalapenos in it. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that and grind with these, and it'll get mixed in during the next process. Before I stuff it, I'll mix it really good. So we'll put some of these in there. A little bit of this meat. Once it runs through that coarse dye, it's not gonna get any smaller than it already is. But I'll grind these right quick. Alright, so now I'm going to grind my pork. So I should have looked earlier and I'll be able to see the fennel seeds in there, but I'm getting in a hurry doing too much at one time. So it all works out. I'm going to start grinding some of this pork now. This meat's been in the freezer. If you try to run it while it's just cold and not partially frozen like this where it's firm, it'll smear all your fat, make a mess in the grinder. And so here you get a really good clean cut. All right, now to stuff these sausage casings, I'm going to use this. It's a Haka Brothers 5-pound stuffer. First, we're going to do that beef and pork jalapeno cheddar sausage. And we'll use this. This is a 2.5 pound bag of high temp cheddar cheese. This is specifically made for stuffing sausages. It says 2.5 pound bag, which is what I have. We'll do 25 pounds of sausage. Since I'm doing a 8-pound batch, I'm just going to go about 13.5 ounces. All right, for a binder, this is, you see all the peppers in the bottom. For a binder, I use this. It's a non-fat dry milk. It says 1 cup per 5 pounds. I got 8 pounds, so I'll do about 1.5 cups here in this. So, 1/2 cup. And this is just a binder. This way your sausage sticks together. Put our cheese in here. And I'll get just a small amount of water and put in here and mix this. Now when you're doing sausage, obviously mix it in really good, but you want to get it to where it's sticky, tacky. Pretty much you want it where it'll stick to your hand like that, but we're not there yet, so we'll mix for a little while. Get this cheese all throughout and these jalapenos. So you get it where it sticks to your hand like that, you know, where it's tacky. That's ready. And when you get it to this point, you'll just take a little pinch of it and make a little sausage patty or something. Especially when you're doing one that's a new blend, new recipe. Just make a little sausage patty and cook it and try it. That way you don't go through the trouble of getting all this stuff linked up and all that, and then you realize you don't like something about the flavor or it needed more of whatever. Load this stuffer up now. Load this in here. You want to try to keep as much air from getting in there as possible, but your air bubbles will mess you up. Some people will throw it down in there, and there's different ways you can do it. You can do it that way, or you just got to put some in there and just kind of mash it down. That's what I try to do. Alright, got this thing full. And the first thing, we'll lower the piston until just a little bit comes out here. Oh, or a lot. Sorry, we got more in that bowl over there. Take one of our casings out. I use natural hog casings. Just take this thing here, get it opened up, get it started on there. Get just a little bit more of that sausage out. Get down like this, you'll have some left over. So we'll tie a knot into this. And the reason why you run this out is for a couple of reasons. One is, like I said, to keep it from ripping a hole into your casing. And second, you don't want a bunch of air in this thing, because if it's full of air and you tie this off, when you start cranking the piston, you're gonna blow a big old balloon here on the end of this. And you don't wanna do that. So we'll get this up to where that knot is, right here, and we'll start stuffing sausage here. Now you can do this whole thing, or you can do it link by link. You know, hold it like this, and just get it coming out like that. See how I'm just letting it slide through my fingers? You let it take it off there on its own. Get some more of this up there. If you're getting air bubbles in there, you can just prick them at the end. They make a little 3-prong pricker. I don't have one, I just use the tip of a very sharp knife. Just make a tiny nick in it. And you just lightly hold this. You want to feel some pressure on it in your hand, but at the same time, you want it to take the casing as it fills it, because you can bust these if you ever fill them. So I just keep my hand there to kind of guide it. You want it to be fairly plump with a little bit of give. That's probably slightly under, but it'll be okay if they're not all 100%. They can't all be winners, can they? You get like this, you got to leave some on the end of it. So I'll take a little pressure off. We'll get this off there and tie it. There we go. And here's the final result. 8 pounds of sausages. You'll see some are different sizes. And these are only the jalapeno cheddar. The other ones, I'm just going to do those tomorrow because I'm running out of time. I've got to go to work tonight. But you see down the right side, they're all the same length. Those, I can get those in a bun. And the longer ones, like you see a couple here, those are, I'll just smoke those and eat those sliced. I'm not too picky about it. But everything's good. Not a single case busted. Maybe just a couple of air bubbles I see. I'll go through and kind of prick those here in a minute and put them in the fridge overnight, and that kind of shrinks the casing and dries it out a little bit. And then in the morning I can come in here and snip all the links apart. So I just put on some of these links of stuff last night. These are the beef and pork jalapeno cheddar. We'll do them over cherry. Alright, here's the first batch of these jalapeno cheddar. These are the bigger ones that wasn't bun sized. Plump and juicy. Got the pepper in there, got the cheese in there. Oh yeah, got smoke ring in there. That's some good weenie. That is some good weenie. Yeah, for a first batch, I'm gonna call this a success. These things are amazing. Cheddar stayed nice in there. It's the high temp cheddar, so I think it melts around 400 degrees. Got a nice smoke ring. This was about 1 hour and 45 minutes at 235 degrees. And this is the Italian ones. They just hit temp. You're going to take them off, and I smoked them with a little cherry as well. This is just a test batch. I put about 6 of these in the freezer. Big vacuum seal packs of them. This is the Italian. It's really good. Cooked to about 160 internal.